you cinephiles out there in the internet. Today we bring you another review. Finally, finals are done. We have some free time on our hands, and this time we're gonna have a review that's actually out, not too far into the future. We're gonna be doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, make sure you go watch it, click off this video, go watch it, and then come back and we can discuss it in the comments. Is Volume 2 better than Volume 1?
In my opinion, it is not.
I don't think so either.
For me, this movie was good though. I'm not saying this movie was bad by any means. This movie was amazing. It was a great sequel to Guardians 1. It just, if I had to if you wanted me to rate both movies, I would put Guardians of the Galaxy at a solid 9. And I would probably rate this movie at about 7, maybe an 8. It's really good, but it's just a notch or two below the first Guardians movie, because the first Guardians movie just, when you think back to it, it just did a lot more things more epically, and it was just a more thrilling experience. Not to say this movie wasn't, it's just that if I had to choose between which one I'd rather watch, I'd watch the first one.
Yeah, I mean, movie 1 had the magic, because, there was a movie that nobody really knew about except for hardcore comic fans. I didn't know about it. I mean, I saw the trailers, it looked good. There were other people that was like, really? A talking raccoon and a talking tree? What the hell's this? Yeah. My girlfriend at the time was like, I have no idea, I don't want to see this looks stupid, but I forced her to go see it, and she ended up loving it. Because it just, you would think this cast of people and characters would never work out, and they capture your hearts. And
this was a chance
that
Marvel took, and Marvel was already on a good hot streak with Avengers and
Winter Soldier,
as they were Winter Soldier, and they were building up to Avengers 2. And if you think about it, this was a gamble, because it would have been very easy to screw this up and make this a horrible movie. But James Gunn knew what he was doing, and it worked out. And but back to the second movie. The second movie, it's really good. I love the opening credit sequence with Baby Groot dancing to Mr. Blue Sky. Yeah. That was a lot of fun to watch. Even the second time, I had just as much fun watching it. And a lot of the humor, even in the midst of all the peril and the action, like in the third act when they're just fighting against Ego.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to get on board the ship. And Drax is like, "Get out of the way, smaller, dumber Groot!" And Groot's like, just starts hitting him.
Yeah. I mean, Baby Groot killed it in this movie. I mean, that's a very... I mean, if you don't like Baby Groot, again, from our Logan review, you have no soul.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Even one of the bad guys in the movie was like, "It's like, should I kill this thing?" He's like, "No, it's too adorable."
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is a true sequel. This is like a true sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. This takes place in the same year Guardians of the Galaxy took place. Like, I think it's about maybe a few months later from the first one.
Yeah, it takes place in like the same year or something.
Yeah.
Like, so that's kind of interesting in that regard.
Yeah.
So, but like, it kind of made it clear that it has to have been like 6 months or so, because it's made it clear that they have all spent some time together.
Yeah, because
since the first movie.
Yeah, because I mean, if you do the math at the beginning, when we see Ego, or a young Kurt Russell with Quill's mom, it's set in 1980, and then it says 34 years later, and you do the math, it's 2014. So it's still in 2014. But of course, they don't really say how many months later, but But yeah, this is a true sequel that still kind of has ties for to set up future Marvel movies, especially at the end with Adam Warlock's thing, Cocoon happening, which is weird that he's not going to be in Infinity War, because he plays a very big part of Infinity War in the comics. But I don't know.
Well, they can always adapt it. Do something different. But
Kevin Feige we trust.
What was that? Kevin Feige we trust. What was that? What was that like? the Gold People, their whole empire, or
The Sovereign?
The Sovereign, yes. Yeah, what did you think of the Sovereign's like video, like remote control airships that look like a video game?
I thought it was funny at first. It was like, whoa, really? But I thought after a while, it's like, if you think about it, an advanced race like them, who's very proud of their heritage or whatever, and is trying to genetically perfect themselves, I feel like, I mean, we have drones now that can fire missiles and stuff. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to where you would, an advanced race would have spaceships where you could just fly in a like a video game. You lose less people that way. I thought they were assholes as well, especially the leader. I thought she was a bitch at times.
I think they hinted at something in the end credits about how she's going to return in Guardians 3. Let's get to Ego. Now apparently there's like I don't know if there's like different comics. Star-Lord has like 2 different dads because of a revamp version of Guardians.
Yeah.
But apparently in the comic books, Ego is not Star-Lord's father.
Yeah.
This was was this something completely fabricated by this movie?
I think so.
Wow. Yeah, okay, so yeah, apparently in this movie, Kurt Russell plays Ego, who is a planet, not just a planet, he's a celestial being.
Yeah.
But he can like create his own human form that is like pretty much an extension of himself. And that's how he was able, and it is full-on human. It's got all the working organs, which is how he was able to conceive Quill. Come to find out, he's evil. He's the bad guy. And I love how they revealed it. I love how he's like, it wasn't like an epic 180. You can say it may have been for some people who just weren't paying attention, but if you think about it, there were signs. Everyone that like Mantis was hinting at like something's wrong, and then all of a sudden, it's whenever he reveals that he put the tumor inside his mom's head, and he's just like comes out of the whole God trance like what? And he's like, I know what you're thinking. Just starts blowing the shit out of him. I liked how Peter's human side overpowered his God side.
Yeah.
That Ego was trying to manipulate.
Let's talk about that for a second. Like, the fact that Peter Quill is half celestial, half God, and is pretty much immortal, as long as that light was burning in the planet.
That was very interesting to know about. It was because of those natural celestial powers within him that he was able to hold on to the Infinity Stone for as long as he could in the first movie. However, now that Ego is dead in the second movie, Quill no longer has any of those abilities, any of that power, because Ego made that very clear at the end. He's like, "No, Peter, if I die, you'll be just like everyone else." What's so wrong with that? I like how Gamora and Nebula kind of like they fought again, but then they kind of made up as sisters. They got over it. They resolved their issues. And for a while, we had a pretty good-sized Guardians team in that third act.
Oh yeah.
You had your usual Drax, Baby Groot, Rocket, Gamora, and Star-Lord, and then you had the 3 extras: Nebula, Yondu, and Mantis. And it was really cool. Now I think it sounds like Drax and Mantis may build a relationship of some kind.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I was hoping this movie would actually take Gamora and Peter's relationship and actually do something with it, but they didn't really go much further than I'd hoped.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess now
she did kind of like
reveal, like, hey, yeah, there is an unspoken thing.
Yes, that was something to work. That was something I was like, okay, well, at least it did that. Like, at least she acknowledged to him, yeah, I think we have something.
Yeah.
But still, it's not like they're kind of still in the same boat.
They haven't kissed yet.
You know, and they haven't made it clear, like, what, if they're even gonna do anything with it.
Yeah. But what I do like about Ego's thing is that, yeah, we can say he's evil, but in a way, he wasn't inherently evil. It's kind of one of those things where he's a great villain because he thinks he's doing the right thing, right? He thinks that he's disappointed in what that he thinks he's the only Celestial alive. He hates the fact that there's more mortals, where it's like, oh, 'cause if I grow attached to this one person, they're gonna die eventually. I mean, and he's hooked up with millions upon millions of people throughout the years, trying to get this one child to share the same Celestial gene, and that of course was Star-Lord, and that was Peter Quill. You know, they were supposed to rule pretty much the universe together, so he wouldn't be necessarily alone. So, you know, I feel like that what makes Ego a good villain, and we haven't really had good villains in some time so far.
I liked how the movie did make clear at one point that if Quill was going to die, it was going to hurt everyone. Everyone was not ready to lose him. I love the Yondu, I'm Mary Poppins joke.
That's great. Going around.
He has to. Apparently there's a petition online for that actor to make an appearance in the new Mary Poppins movie, and I loved at the end when the Yondu saved him, and he's just like, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Yeah, I mean, that sacrifice was really emotional. To talk about dads, Thanos being the, I guess, stepfather of Gamora and Nebula, you get more backstory about them, and just Guardians 2 makes Thanos frightening, rather than just seeing him in Guardians 1 and seeing him at the end of Age of Ultron, knowing that he's going to try to get at least stones. But hearing Gamora and Nebula's story, mainly Nebula's story, about how he would make them fight, and if Nebula lost, he would tear off her limbs and replace it with machinery, and pull out her eyes and replace it with other stuff as well. It makes him terrifying.
Couple disappointments I had with this movie.
All right.
Soundtrack was not nearly as impressive. The volume soundtrack I'm talking about. They had a couple of good songs, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the soundtrack's not as bad or anything, because after watching it a second time, the soundtrack really works for this movie. Mm-hmm. It's just that when you compare the two, the first movie's soundtrack just kind of like stands out more, and it's more impactful. And I'm sorry, but like the climax of this movie does not chump the climax of the first movie. I mean, it starts with Peter doing challenging Ronan into a dance-off right before he's trying to destroy the planet. And and then all of a sudden he grabs the Infinity Stone, and they all, you know, that entire sequence was intense. Yeah. Best part of the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And this movie's climactic sequence was amazing. How it just doesn't trump the first movie. Now, when they had Yondu's funeral, I was okay. Whenever that guy who was like Yondu's right hand guy, the guy with he kind of has a mohawk a little bit. Oh, he's like, or a faux hawk, or whatever you call it. You know what I'm talking about. Whenever he saw that Yondu was getting the proper Ravager send-off funeral, he got all you could tell he was mourning, but then he got all excited, and he was like, yeah. Now, I would have preferred if he had just, you know, shown that he was happy, but if he like just kind of stayed more so toned down and just been like nodding, and then like cried a little bit, and
you thought it was over the top.
I thought it was over the top, and I thought that was a little too much. That was like one part of the movie I wish I could just take away. Mm-hmm. Okay, this might be nitpicking, but I thought that Kurt Russell's hairdo in the opening scene of the movie was it's like it was purposely curled by something. You could tell it was not a natural curl. Okay. I thought they primped up his hair a little bit too much. I mean, I basically thought I was looking at like a man who looked like a girl. His hair looked a little too girly to me. That's all I'm saying. Okay. And I think they should have just like let the curls look natural, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. It didn't have a huge effect on the story, so yeah. Whatever. I'm just, like I said, at this point, it was just it's a pointless nitpick for me. So,
well, disappointments for me is that Drax didn't really get to do much fighting. I mean, you have Drax the Destroyer, and he doesn't really do a lot of fighting, especially at the end. He kind of just carries Mantis to the ship, and that's it. He doesn't cut anybody. He doesn't slice anybody. I mean, most of his action sequences are in the beginning. So I gotta say that's a pretty disappointing thing. feel like Mantis, I wish Mantis would have done more. I mean, she did a lot. Technically, she held Ego asleep for, you know, a good almost 30 minutes. But then she got knocked out and she didn't really do anything else. I guess this whole kind of plot hole in the MCU where, you know, Ego sets his little extensions of himself everywhere in this bluish fluid slime thing starts happening everywhere, and then in the movies, since it's happened in 2014, you don't hear it again about that event in either Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, or Civil War, for that matter.
Yeah, but that's probably because they had no idea what they were going to do with this movie, so they'll probably try to mention it again.
Yeah, I mean, if they do, then that's
they
good.
might make a joke about it in Avengers. And then, with the Guardians of the Galaxy, we stopped, and then they try to explain what Ego did, and maybe it's small talk between Quill and Stark. And Stark's like, yeah, you knew I was kidding at.
Yeah, and how would you clean that up too? Because it seems like when Ego was done, it just kind of stopped.
Hardens or
so-
whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure they'll clear it up later on, as long as they come to it. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this movie was great. This was an awesome movie. It was a good sequel. I mean, like I said, like we said, it doesn't trump the first one. The first one had magic that apparently can't be recreated right now. Because, I mean, it surprised a lot of people, and I think that's why when you go into a sequel that surprised a lot of people, you're really expecting a lot of it, and it just didn't hold up.
Yeah, this movie was great. I loved it. I want to go see it again before it leaves theaters, and it's a movie I would love to watch over and over again. But in my opinion, it does not beat the first movie. First movie is still superior.
Anyway, what'd you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Because apparently it's mixed, I've seen. But let us know in the comments below. And until next time,
We're out.
don't forget to subscribe.
It probably had more blood than Deadpool, maybe. I liked how in this movie, I noticed in the trailers that his claws looked rusted. And I liked that idea that his claws were rusted. Logan's healing power has weakened.